This is Fieldsports Channel News. Experts have criticised a report into game bird releasing by controversial scientist Stephen Harris. The Labour Animal Welfare Party Society commissioned the research which is critical of shooting sports. The Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust says the report is not a scientific review, even though it is presented as one. GWCT experts say Harris's evidence on fox numbers, dispersal of game birds and the ecological effects of releasing them are inaccurate. Harris, a retired Bristol University academic, has previously been accused of manipulating evidence in court in favour of an animal rights agenda. Dr. Rufus Sage leads the team from GWCT examining the Harris report.
Papers were being referred to in the report selectively and not accurately, and there were several papers that were, I'm going to use the word, misrepresented in there. So they according to the laws report by Professor Harris, the papers were showing things that actually were not shown by those papers.
A new government strategy recommends wild venison as an alternative to beef. Prime Minister Boris Johnson launched DEFRA's new food plan from a farm in Cornwall. It commits £270 million for a farming innovation funding programme, with some reports saying that deerstalkers could benefit from the cash. Derbyshire Dales District Council has defended itself against claims that it's committed vandalism. BBC TV presenter Chris Packham criticised the council for mowing a patch of grass. He reacted to a social media post of the land near a leisure centre in Matlock. Packham wrote, "We are all getting sick of excuses for this sort of vandalism." The council issued a response saying the space is not preserved for wildlife and is mowed regularly. It said the land had delayed the mowing because of the No Mow May campaign. The Welsh Government has quashed claims that country sports will be banned by 2024. Basque took action after a series of claims posted on social media. The post said shooting and other country sports would have no future in Wales. Basque received a letter from Julie James, the Welsh Minister for Climate Change, denying the reports. She says the posts were inaccurate and the claims are baseless. Basque Wales Director Steve Griffiths says he is still concerned that the Welsh Government shows limited support for shooting. The Game Fair has announced it will present long service awards to gamekeepers at the Festival of the Countryside at the end of July. These honours are not the same as the long service awards given to gamekeepers by the National Gamekeepers Organisation. The NGO took over the awards from the Country Land and Business Association in 2015. The CLA handed them over when it ceased to run the annual Game Fair. The NGO took to social media to say the new awards have caused confusion and they weren't aware of the plans until they were posted online.
It's the National Gamekeepers Organisation that are awarding the long-standing long service award. What the Game Fair are awarding now, we're not quite sure, but it can't be the long-standing award.
Farmers and crofters in Scotland can claim financial compensation to stem losses from sea eagle predation. The birds are causing havoc during lambing. Nature Scot is running the scheme for the National Sea Eagle Stakeholder Panel. It's inviting anyone who has suffered losses to apply for help. Farmers will need to log details of the lamb losses and provide evidence of incidents of livestock predation related to sea eagles. The Scottish Countryside Alliance says it is essential the government compensates people who have suffered losses from the introduction of the birds.
On the whole, this was a government scheme. There's a reintroduction plan, and because of that, farmers, crofters and landowners are suffering.
A private rhino breeder in South Africa has announced plans to release 100 white rhinos into the wild every year. John Hume runs the world's largest rhino farm in the northwest province of the country. He has a herd of more than 2,000 rhinos. His company, Platinum Rhino, says the deal to release the animals to their natural habitats is ready for implementation. No date has been set for the rollout. Around 80% of the world's rhino population are in South Africa. Most are on private ranches, while poaching is rife in national parks. Thank you to Richard Walton for the story. Zimbabwe has announced that communities will receive 100% of the money generated by international hunting revenues. Under the management programme known as Campfire, the money was paid to rural district councils that later distributed it. Communities only received 60% of the cash under the scheme that was introduced in 1989. Zimbabwe is also in the spotlight for its bid to sell live elephants and ivory. the country invited 16 African countries to join its cause. Only 5 countries signed up, which means there isn't a continent-wide consensus, so it won't be taken to the CITES meeting in Panama in November. A Land Rover Defender, first driven by the late Prince Philip, is up for auction. The Duke of Edinburgh was such a fan of the Landies, he designed a custom Defender 130 gun bus for his funeral. The Collecting Cars website is selling the iconic Defender Sports model that was sent to the palace for Prince Philip in 2010. The Keswick green paintwork is in great condition, and with just over 15,000 miles on the clock, it could prove a right royal bargain. The auction ends on Friday, the 17th of June 2022. Staying with the royal theme, and shooting artist Eleanor Tomlinson has created an image of the Queen and Paddington Bear. During the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, thousands of people contacted her asking for copies of the sketch of the Queen holding Paddington's hand. Ellen is well known for the artwork of the countryside, especially game birds and horses. The Yorkshire artist has recruited her family to cope with more than 25,000 emails asking about the watercolour. The original was sold to a regular customer. Eleanor is now working hard to make copies for her new fans. Feeding birds in St Mark's Square is an iconic tourist pastime, but the pandemic has attracted a new visitor. The lack of tourism led to clearer canal waters, which has meant more fish, and that, says officials, is why gulls are flocking to the Italian city to eat them. The birds are now becoming aggressive and taking food from people's plates and hands too. Some hotels in Venice are arming their guests with orange water pistols to scare them off. The birds are protected. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. And finally, there's a video doing the rounds of a roebuck having a go at a ram. The sheep is tethered, an advantage for the deer uses in the fight, though the buck gets his antlers tangled in the rope. Eventually, a man and his dog step in to break up the fight. Even then, the buck is not keen to run away until the dog encourages it. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.